Welcome back. Today we're going to go over the chamber and sieve installation I've completed in my backyard. Alright, so if you go to Russell Water Gardens and Koi Professional Pond Equipment website, they've got directions kind of all spelled out for how to install a whole system. It's a really good direction to walk through. Mine is a little different. Theirs focuses on a single chamber and a single sieve. So if you go through their step-by-step instructions, you're going to see that how they format those is pretty simple, straightforward. My waterfall is going to be a little bigger, so part of the design they put together for me is 2 sieves and 2 chambers. So today I'm going to kind of show you how I installed those, and we're just going to focus on the sieves and the chambers and how those went in. So as you can see, we got a lot of digging to do. Decided to pull in some Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, and they started digging. We got a little deeper, and of course came across the roots of that tree. I hated that tree. You can't hard to grow things underneath a pine tree. It just makes the soil too acidic. But it's gone. Very happy it's gone. So we got down deep enough so that we got our chambers at the right level. Then we proceed to build a shelf a little bit higher so that we got our sieves at the right level, level. And you can see from here as a shot from the side that they just barely skid the top of the wood. I may do it a little bit lower. I'm not quite sure. I probably will, just in case I lose those wood planks and decide to just have a regular retaining wall there. But you can see we got both the sieves and we got the chambers at the right level. The way that the chambers are going to connect probably isn't the way that they designed it, but it's going to work because the way the inlets at the very bottom of those chambers are situated with the inlets coming from the sieves. I decided to put a 90-degree PVC angle between the chambers. That water is just going to be sitting there. Only pressure on that system is gravity. So I figured the best way to put bends in the system is to have it in areas that aren't as dependent on water flow. So it's just going to be sitting there. So I went with a 90-degree at the bottom of the 2 chambers. And as you can see, you got to measure out your distance between the pipe you're going to need between the 90-degree and each chamber. And once I get my measurements right, and I've cut it, I've checked it, rechecked it, I'm about ready to put those together. And of course, if you've ever worked with a sprinkler system, putting these together is very simple. Only advice I can give you with these larger systems is you're going to use a lot more glue and a lot more primer to prepare that. And you really do, especially at the depth that this is going to be buried. You want to make sure it is sure. So as you can see from this, it got a little messy, but I used a ton of it, and I know for sure that this is not going to leak. Red Hot glue, Christie's Red Hot glue, blue glue is what I used. But if you look at this picture, I've got about 20 feet paving stones, I got a retaining wall, and then I've got the chambers buried. I don't think I'll ever have a problem if it did leak a little bit. But on the other side of that fence is my neighbor's yard, and my neighbor's house is about 10 feet there. And if there's going to be a problem, he's going to hear it first, or he's going to have an issue first. So I decided I'm going to just make sure 100% that it's not going to leak. So when I was at the Lowe's, I saw this coupler, and I thought, oh, that would be perfect. So what I'm going to do is, even though I know 100% that glue is not going to leak, there's not a pressurized system, it's just water sitting there, I decided just to be 100% sure. I went ahead and added just another feature as another security to make sure I don't have any water leaks at that level. That's I'm going to guess 5 feet down. The last thing I want to do is dig that back up again. So I added those rubber connectors to each of the connected glued PVC to the 90-degree PVC corner. And as you can see from this photo here, they're not going anywhere. I mean, that is secure. I'm not going to have a leak. I'm not going to have anything else. I put them in and installed it. As you can see from the one here, it's a lot of rubber down there, making sure that there's water not going to escape out of those chambers. I used a sealant around every connector that needed it. And so not only are they on there pretty tight and snug, they got sealant on there that's going to dry up and it's going to form a seal, but they're going to get tightened down with those screw-on vise. I don't know what those are called, but they make a very tight fit. So that is the completed chamber-to-chamber connection. I went ahead and filled it with water for a few days just to make sure, once again, I don't have any leaks, and I did it. I then went ahead and put in the plug for the inlet on the chamber on the left, and once I have that one plugged in, the one on the right, I actually put an inlet, because that's where I'm going to have water fill in the chamber when it gets a little low. So I'm going to go ahead and run a cable there, but I'll get to that at one of the further steps along the way. Once again, bottom of the chambers are completed. I'm 100% confident I'm not going to have a leak there. Water tested, no issues. So now we're going to come to the connection between the sieves and the chambers. So because of the way that they're oriented, one sieve is very close to the first chamber, but still I couldn't get away with anything but a 90-degree. The PVC pipe I'm using is bendable, but it wasn't bendable enough for that connection there. So I actually used ABS, 45-degree ABS. I'll talk about that in the next video, the difference between ABS and PVC. But once again, it was glued in. I waited a few hours to make sure that glue was set. No leaks, no budging. It was in there for good. And I still went ahead and, just by fortune, not realizing the difference between PVC and ABS, went ahead and an extra just level of security, because once again, it's closer to my neighbor's house than it is mine. So I want to make sure I'm not causing problems for someone else. So I got those ready to roll. I've got the second sieve that is going to be connected to the chamber that's further away, and once again I'm going to be using those rubber the connectors basically with the metal clamps. Still going to use sealant on each connector, and as you can see here, I've got all of my connections between the sieves and the chambers completed. I'm starting to fill it in. Before I got too far, once again I filled it with water so I can test each chamber. They're not under pressure. I know they're not going to leak, but I'd rather just make 100% sure before I start filling in with dirt that I don't have any problems. So after a few days of letting that water sit in there, no leaks, I started to bury it. As you can see, everything just went really well. I got it up to here. So now all of my pipe work that is underground at for the bottom part of the pipes for between the sieves and the chambers are completed. I went ahead and bagged up because I want to keep the system as clean as I can. I have a feeling that by the time I'm done, I'm going to have to flush out the system before I hook up the pump anyways. But still, so I've plugged in anything that was open so I don't get any dirt in there. And once again, tested it with water to make sure that they were no leaks. And you can see from the top level here that I got a good level. Both those sieves and chambers are in, and you can see from my last diagram here, part of my blueprints, that the yellow means it's completed. The orange pipelines will have to come later, but so that's where I'm at. So today was awesome. I got my sieves and my chambers in, buried, and on to the next step.